Morning, Samir.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Very well, sir. So good to see you early in the morning,
Yes, good
right?
to be here.
And
Thank you for having me.
thank you so much, sir. So while we are adding on more people,
Ji.
and of course it'll take some time. People were having some issues with the Zoom sign in, of course,
Oh,
because
okay.
of we are on this platform. And that's why the delay. But of course, this is a very smart bunch of people, and they'll find their way in, right, as we go along,
Ji.
right? Ji. But now the spotlight is on you, and we have about 50 odd people, but I'm sure a lot more people will join in and they'll find their way in. So is it okay if we can start now and I can start with the agenda? Do I have your permission?
Of course, please. I'm at your disposal. आप guide करें.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
जी.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker, Mr. Sawan Kapoor. He's India's leading career coach and a highly successful entrepreneur with a vast experience that spans across multiple industries and a deep understanding of career advancement and development. Mr. Kapoor has transformed the professional journey of over more than 30,000 students through his advanced coaching programs. Mr. Kapoor's students, who range from young professionals to mid-career managers and senior leaders, have seen tangible results in over 75 industries across 27 countries globally, I think including the US also.
जी.
His coaching focuses on delivering four transformative outcomes. Firstly, helping individuals increase their CTC by 2x to 4x in under 90 days. And sir, I'll have to ask you this 90-day formula, right? And how did you come about inventing these 90 days?
जी.
Apart from the agenda, of course. The second point is, of course, guiding them to climb the career ladder in one third the time. Thirdly, teaching strategies to target companies and generate job offers, even in the absence of posted positions. Equipping his clients to differentiate themselves and become the race winning candidates in competitive job markets. I mean, as in become apex players in themselves. Uh, the best part is, apart from his remarkable career consulting practice, Mr. Kapoor is also the executive director of Kapoor Lampshade Company, an organization with a legacy as old as independent India itself. Right. Under his leadership, the company has achieved an impressive 80% market share in the five-star hospitality industry, executed major projects at the Chhatrapati Shivaji Mumbai International Airport and other airports as well, including the Rashtrapati Bhavan as well, including all the Infosys campuses and various highway lighting projects as well of the National Highway Authority of India and much more. Today, we are honored to have Mr. Sawan Kapoor share his wealth of knowledge and insight on how to fast track career growth and achieve extraordinary success. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Kapoor. Ajay sir, I would like you to switch on your camera if you can and join me in welcoming Mr. Kapoor on behalf of all IFTN. Uh, Sawan sir, Ajay sir is based out of Bangalore
हाँ
and
जी.
he heads the करता धरता यही है सारे alumni chapters के of IFT. So I have invited him to welcome you on behalf of all the IFTs, sir.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
thank
Ajay ji,
you,
nice to meet you.
Samir. I think
Yeah.
it's a great honor uh, to have Mr. Sawan Kapoor amongst us and to, as they say, to have that leapfrogging career jump in on our lives, especially the people who are in their mid-career and just starting off their career. I'm sure Sawan Kapoor's words of wisdom will propel us in the right direction. Thank you very much, and over to you, Samir.
Thank you, sir. So starting with the agenda, Sawan sir, over to you. And we would like to hear you for about 15-20 minutes, post which we will open the forum for question and answers, sir. Over to you, Sawan sir.
Lovely, lovely. Well, Samir, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure. Samir, I think you came into the program maybe a couple years ago.
Couple of years back, sir.
couple of
About
years.
4 years back. Yeah.
And it has been such a pleasure to work with you, and it's been such a pleasure to see your development and to see how you continue to spread the light, how you continue to invest not only in your skills and capabilities, but also extend that in your industry, and now with your alma mater. And one of the things that I came to realize recently was that my father is also an IIFTian.
Wow. Nice.
So this is back, I think he was there in the early 70s.
Okay.
And I was speaking to him that, I have this engagement coming up, and he says, वो तो मेरा institute है. So I was very happy to hear that. And he also told me that उन दिनों में, there used to be a restaurant on that Green Park main road.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still there or not, but it was called Turant Restaurant.
Acha. Okay.
And what they had done was that he and a couple of his friends, they had वहाँ जाके अपनी setting कर ली थी कि हफ्ते के 2 रुपए 75 पैसे देंगे, and in that 2 rupees 75 paisa they would get lunch for the entire week.
What a bargain. IFTN जुगाड़ू ही होते हैं, sir. That truly speaks of him.
Lovely, lovely. So it's a small world. So
Yeah. Very
I
small
think
world.
the topic that we are talking about today is why some people build great careers and most do not.
Yes.
So I'll tell you, one of the things that I have come to understand as a truth bomb in my own career journey is that the road to career development is paved with personal development.
Yes.
The more you work on yourself, the greater you will be able to grow in all of these different areas of your life. And we all have these few areas of our lives. Of course, we have our financial reality. We live in the modern world of today, and money is, it's important. And most of us go about making money through the pursuit of economic activity, whether that is business or whether that is, a job or a profession. And then we also have our own recreation, right? There's something that we need to connect with outside of work as well to keep ourselves rejuvenated, to keep ourselves, rewound. And beyond that, of course, we all have our health, we have our relationships, we have our personal growth, and we all want to create a legacy. We all innately desire to be remembered and to be remembered for the right reasons. So it was fortunate that early in my career I came to understand that the road to career development is paved with personal development. Just to set the context, I'll just talk a little bit about my story here. As you were saying, how I came to create this system. I started my career in 2001, and I was hired right after 9/11. So I was a
Oh,
student there in the US, and before 9/11, I had 8 job offers. And
wow.
as soon as September 11th happened, the terrorist attacks happened, I was an international student of brown skin, and all of the
Oh,
offers were cancelled. So there
oh
was
my God.
about a 2 month period there that I was very depressed. I was, very anxious. I said, जो इतना पैसा लगाया है education में, all that has happened, it's all going to go to waste. I'm going to have to pack up and go back home. But I realized that ये depression से कुछ नहीं होगा. I have to
Yeah.
start reaching out. I have to start connecting with people, and I reached out to everybody in my network. I reached out to all of my professors, to the campus placement office, and it took me about 2 months to get an interview, but I was very grateful, that this company gave me the opportunity. And I had a great first interview with them, and then they called me back for a second one. It went even better. And 2 weeks before I graduated, they gave me a job. And I was with them for about 5 years. The name of the company was Damon Worldwide. It's the largest food broker for private label brands. And I worked with them for about 5 years. And in that time, we went from being about maybe a $400 million company to being about a $6 billion company.
Wow.
Expanded from 3 countries to about 50 countries. And I was permanently living on a plane, and it was a wonderful journey to see expansion and growth and being able to manage scale like that. And then one of the categories that I used to manage was the wine business.
Right.
So I fell deeply in love with wine. The lifestyle, the it's an agricultural product. There's so much nuance to it. One patch of land can only produce a very specific expression of the beverage.
Yeah.
So I decided to make a shift to the wine industry. And it took me about 4 months to get that job in the wine industry. And, it was a long process. It took me about 2.5 months to look for the right positions, and then a month to about get it, go through the interviewing process, waiting on the hiring managers, all of that. And after I got it, only after I joined this new company, the name of the company was Total Wine and More. Um, After joining them, I realized that even though my salary has grown, this is not the right company for me, because the culture is not something I'm fitting into. And it was not their fault, it was my fault. I'm not trying to blame the company here, but the background that I came from was very autonomous. So they give you a lot of freedom to make decisions and even make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. But here in the new organization, everything was very hierarchical. But again, it was not their fault, because they were growing at a accelerated pace. So the way they were
Mm.
running their organization was working for them.
Yeah.
I was not able to fit in, and within 6 months, they let me go. And again, I realized, and I came to feel that I'm very powerless in this equation.
Mm.
And that is where I knew that by law I have about 30 days to get another job. Um, and I said, if I go the traditional route of looking for jobs, then it'll become lengthy.
Yeah.
So I had been working on this system. I had been thinking about how to take more control back over one's career and timelines, and that is where I use this system that I call the SPT model, which is fundamentally that you build a list of suspect companies, and then you begin to qualify them,
Yeah.
and you begin to understand their deeper needs, and
That's
then you
right.
make the evaluation: is are your skills aligned with those needs?
That's right.
And if they are, they move from being a suspect company to a prospect company.
Yeah.
And then you start looking into their culture as an outsider.
Yeah.
And you want to understand the true ground reality of their culture before you take the decision to join them. So I developed a process to be able to understand them much more objectively and neutrally, because the problem with the traditional method is that it's a method that is made by employers for employers. So, when you go for an interview, you are marketing yourself to the company. You're going to put your best foot forward because you want the job. So,
Right.
very similarly, in that interaction with organizations, they are also marketing to you because they also want the best available talent at the lowest cost.
Yeah.
So, it's a process design जहाँ मैं आपको अपने बारे में अच्छी अच्छी चीजें बोलूंगा, आप मेरे को अपने बारे में अच्छी अच्छी चीजें बोलो, and we'll try to see if we can see eye to eye, and you can hire me. So once bitten twice shy. I didn't want to put myself in a situation again where I join a company only to realize that this is not the right environment for me, and be dissatisfied with my career. So I took those prospect companies, ran that research to understand their culture better, and the companies where I felt that the culture would be appropriate, it would give me the elements that I'm looking for. Those companies moved from being prospects to being targets. And those are the companies that I reached out to with a value proposition. Now, the beauty of this method was that it doesn't matter if there is a job posting or not. And in
Right.
fact, I came to realize, I've been running this process now for 20 plus years. I came to realize that there are two types of job markets. There is the published job market, and that is where opportunities are posted. So if you look at all of the job portals like LinkedIn, Naukri, Ambition,
Correct.
Glassdoor, now all of these positions are posted. There's a full job description. They tell you what the responsibilities are, what the requirements of the position are, and what needs to be realized is that this is a very small market, and it will only pay you an ordinary salary because you're solving ordinary problems.
True.
And there is a lot of competition because the posting is public. Hundreds of people are going to apply. So today, if you look at LinkedIn, mid career positions, the number that I last saw was there's going to be somewhere, at least for the decent ones, there's going to be somewhere between 200 to 300 applications for a position.
हाँ सर, वो दिखती हैं. You see at least 300 to 400 applications per job. I don't know how many of them are true, or that's the actual number of people who are actually applying for these jobs.
Yeah, I mean, directionally, it is so much that it's very easy to get lost in the process. So
Yes.
one job market is the published job market, but what I
Okay.
came to realize was that there is another job market called the unpublished job market. Now here
Right.
jobs are never posted, and
Yeah.
in many cases companies also don't know that they have this job and they have this need. This is where you are creating the offer for yourself. And
True.
today, from we have touched over 3 lakh students today, and more than 30,000 are enrolled in our advanced courses. 78% of our students apply in the unpublished job market, and that is where they are able to create offers that are significantly above market level. So, they are able to generate a much greater salary. They are able to climb the career ladder faster. They are able to target these opportunities that have no competition, because if a job is not posted, then nobody is applying for it. And
Absolutely.
also, they are able to position themselves in a manner where instead of they chasing the company is chasing them. Now, I'll tell you some of the challenges that I see is, like, if someone is going to have a full career, अगर आपका पूरा 30-40 year का career रहेगा, you start working right after your education, so 20, 21, 22 somewhere is where you start your career, and you work, let's say, till retirement age, which may be somewhere between 60, 65, then you're going to have 6 distinct stages to your career. So the first stage is what is known as the aspiration stage.
Yeah.
Now, this aspiration stage is when you are in your final years of your education, and here the goal is that sufficient personal development should have taken place for you to make an appropriate career choice. But what I find is that most people end up making a career choice based on some kind of pressure. So
Yeah.
either parental pressure or societal pressure or peer pressure, or even what's hot at the moment, what will pay me the best. Abhi,
Right.
as you can see, artificial intelligence, machine learning,
Correct.
data sciences, these are
Very
all
true.
hot topics. And there was a time where every parent felt कि भाई अगर ब्रह्मा के दर्शन होंगे तो आईटी में ही होंगे. So I can tell you that now IT is a phenomenal industry, but it's not right for everyone.
Yes.
So what I find is that ये aspiration stage में जितनी आंखें खुल जानी चाहिए उतनी typically खुलती नहीं है,
Hmm.
and they'll end up making a career choice that becomes a misaligned career.
Hmm.
But if you play the game correctly, then you will get to the second stage, which is known as the promise stage. Now, that's where you're just
Right.
starting your professional journey. You've just been hired.
Yeah.
And here you are using the promise of your potential to begin to gain experience. Now, the true mandate of this stage is to learn through deep observations and by asking questions. But in general, keep your mouth closed and keep your ears and your eyes open. You've
Hmm.
joined a running business, they are doing something. Uh, the initiation of deep expertise should begin to take hold in you.
Yeah.
And if you play the game right there, then you will get to the third stage, which is the momentum stage. Now, this is where you are a mid career professional. And in this momentum stage, this is a make or break stage. And unfortunately, a lot of people end up ending their careers in this stage. They will not be able to move past this stage,
Hmm.
because this stage has two very important mandates.
Hmm.
One, you have to learn how to build and lead high performance teams. So, we don't do anything alone. The ability to identify great talent, hire them, groom them into the culture, train them for the job, help them grow their careers, and the ability to retain them. So, these are some
Yeah.
of the things that become very, very critical. And the second superpower that you need to develop in this stage is understanding how your work is connected to the financial statements of the company. And that can be done for every single function. It doesn't matter what function or what industry you're in. You could be in facilities management, you could be in public relations, you could be in sales, marketing, operations, finance, HR, any function. And so, if you don't develop these two superpowers, then you will not be able to move ahead from this point on. This is also the point where you can begin to get headhunted. And if you start working on your personal brand, it can really put, your career on steroids. But unfortunately, a lot of people will end their careers in this stage. And
Hmm.
this is also the stage where life
Right.
becomes very real.
Hmm.
You're probably married by this point, you have kids or are in
Kids.
the process of having children, and
Yeah.
um, expenses have become real. So if you look at it strategically, that period of 0 to 25 is statistically your happiest period. 25 to 45, 50 is statistically the most difficult period. Life becomes real very quickly,
Hmm.
right? And then somewhere in your early 50s, you begin to realize that this time on planet Earth is finite, and you start to understand that that there's more to life. I can be
True.
happy regardless of my environment around me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so from that momentum stage, if you play the game correctly, you will enter a fourth stage known as your harvest stage. Now, as the name implies, this is a stage where you're going to reap what you have sowed. So, by this time, your subject matter expertise with regard to your industry or function is quite developed. And your people management capability has also come a long way. So, it's a stage that can really start to provide you options. Of course, you can continue on your senior leadership career, but beyond that, you can join industry bodies. You can, get appointed to the boards of companies. You can, start a entrepreneurial venture. You can have a side business. So it's a stage that can provide a fair number of options. You can start talking to, institutions. And if you play the game correctly there, then you get to a very special stage, which is my favorite stage, known as the encore stage. Now, this encore stage is where you get to paint your professional masterpiece. So, this is a stage where your people management skills and your strategic thinking are peaking.
Right.
Sundar Pichai is a great example of somebody who, at a fairly young age, is leading a brilliant encore. As the
Absolutely.
head of one of the largest technology companies in the world.
And so making 1,000 crore while he does that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great ROI. And then if you play the game right in your encore stage, then you get to a stage called the legacy stage.
Huh.
So all of the business leaders that we admire, whether it is Indra Nui or Kiran Mazumdar Shaw or Anand Mahindra, Narayan Murthy, Ratan Tata. I mean, what phenomenal business and personal legacies these people have created. Um, so these are the six stages of your career: aspiration, promise, momentum, harvest, encore, and legacy. Now you cannot skip any of the stages, but you can accelerate your journey through a stage. What's important to understand is that there are different traps associated with each stage, and there are different solutions to these traps. So, like I was saying, in the early stages of your career, the biggest trap is that you get into a misaligned career. You get into something that is not your true calling, and then you feel stuck because you need the paycheck. You don't want to start at the bottom again, but you're not really connected with your job. Your head and your heart is not in the game. In the mid career, life has become very real. A lot of people go through that midlife career crisis. And in the senior career, the biggest challenge that I see is that they don't know how to play the game from that point to the very top. And one of the reasons for that is because companies and organizational dynamics, specifically the politics that happens in companies and the games that get played, they get very deadly and very silent.
Silent. Yeah.
Because now people have a fair bit of maturity. They know how to butter the bread for themselves. And wherever there is people, thodi bahut politics to hogi. So it's, I
Bilkul.
think, a little naive to think that you're going to be above the politics and it's not going to impact you. Don't hate the players, learn the game.
Right.
So, So, that it's important to identify where you are in this journey and what you need, because fundamentally, we're all working to try to beat the mandate of the different stages of our own life.
Yeah.
So when we are young, if you look at these three factors, time, energy, and money, in our young age, we have time and energy, we don't have a lot of money.
True.
You want to develop your skills in a manner where you start getting some money, and then in your mid age you start getting some money and you have the energy, but you don't have the time. You're a family man, you have obligations at the office, you have obligations at home, so time ki kami ho jati hai.
Right.
And then you want to develop that stage in a manner where you look after yourself as well, because when you get to your older age, you are going to have the time and the money, but you will not have the energy left.
Yeah.
So the idea is to put yourself in a position where you can beat the mandate of the stage, the demand that is going to come up in life.
True. True.
And what I've noticed is that there are certain patterns to exceptional success.
Yes.
And one of the gentlemen that I admire is this guy. He's a mountaineer. He's a mountain climber, and he
Okay.
comes from southern Australia, from a
Right.
little district known as Sud Tirol. His name is Reinhold Messner, and
Okay.
I'll tell you, most people have not even heard about this guy.
I haven't, sir.
So I'll tell you, the reason I admire this gentleman is because he was the first person on the planet to go and climb all 14 mountains, all 14 peaks that are greater than 8,000 meters in height.
Okay.
And
Uh,
he was the first person to do that. So, you have Mount Everest, K2, Nanga
True.
Parbat, Kanchenjunga,
Kanchenjunga.
several of the Gasher Brahma, many of these peaks in the Indo-Himalayan region that, are above 8,000 meters. And he wasn't climbing for recognition or award. So he came back from this and somebody asked him, "Why do you climb?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Listen, if I have to explain it to you, you won't understand. And if you don't understand, there is no way I can explain it to you."
Hmm.
And he said, I'm climbing to understand my own limits. I'm climbing to understand my spirituality. Because your growth is only going to occur on the boundary of support and challenge, right?
Yes.
So if you go to a gym and you're lifting weights, you're pushing your muscles to failure, because only when they fail will they come back bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
So he was wanting to understand what his limits are and then be able to, exercise his ability to grow the capacity of his limits. So he came back from this climb and he said that this is not enough. I want to now climb these mountains without the use of bottled oxygen. Now, when you get to heights like that, there is less than one third the oxygen in the atmosphere. I mean, it's known as the death zone for a reason. Above
Right.
24,000 feet, it's called the
Yeah.
death zone.
Yeah.
Because, your lungs are filling up with fluid, your organs are eating themselves. There's
Right.
so little oxygen in the blood that you cannot even do simple mathematics like 2 plus 2 is 4.
Right,
And
sir.
you're so tired by that point that you'd rather fall off the mountain and die than take another step towards the summit.
True.
So he said, I'm going to climb these mountains without the use of bottled oxygen. And he
Hmm.
went and he climbed the mountains without the use of bottled oxygen. And then when he came back, he said, this is not enough.
Hmm.
I'm now going to go and climb the mountains solo.
Hmm.
See, when you're climbing, you need a fair bit of equipment, and all of these Sherpas and
Yeah.
guides that will be the
I'm with you.
ensemble, that will be the team that climb with you. They will, go about supporting you as you make your ascent to the summit. But he said, okay, it's just going to be me and my backpack. So he then went and climbed the mountains without bottled oxygen solo. And then when he came back, he said, you know what, this is not enough.
Hmm.
I'm now going to climb the mountains solo without the use of bottled oxygen. Um, and I'm going to climb them in the dead of winter when the weather is
Challenge पे
the
challenge पे
worst.
challenge.
Challenge
Challenge पे
पे challenge
challenge
पे
पे
challenge.
challenge पे challenge.
Correct. So then he went and climbed them in the dead of winter because, in the summer season when this is open, the temperature at that height is minus 40, minus 50
40.
degrees. So he said, I'm going to climb them when it's minus 65. So he went and did this. And, a lot of young people ask me, how do I get my life in order? And, what I tell them is that please understand there is no difference between the word responsibility and the word adventure. There's no difference. It essentially means the same thing because the heavier the responsibility, the more profound the adventure you will have.
Mhm.
And
Superb statement.
you should seek the path of maximum responsibility.
Hmm.
Not because you should, even though you should, because that is where you're going to have the greatest gains. We've all heard of those stories where the dragon is, guarding the gold, right? So
Yes. Yeah.
what it essentially tells us is that wherever there is a dragon, there is gold to be found, right?
Yeah.
And how do you get to the dragon? You get to the dragon by taking the path of maximum responsibility, especially young people, because uh, sometimes they fail to fully appreciate that this is the freest you're ever going to be. If you're still in that 0 to 25 age, then right, life has not thrown enough complexity at you yet.
Yeah.
There's a bigger blast is coming. Get ready for it. And when you seek, maximum responsibility, you begin to proactively work on yourself so that you will be able to beat the demand of the next stage that is coming up. Um, so I liked this guy a lot, and he was asked, "What are the 5 habits of your success or exceptional success?" And these were the 5 habits that he mentioned. He said the number one is have a remarkable vision. Have a very bold vision. And you have to create a vision for yourself because, nobody is dedicated to your mastery.
Right.
So that vision has to be so specific. You want to see yourself as a CEO, see yourself in your mind's eye in the actual office.
Mhm.
Is the table made of wood or is the table top made of leather or is it glass? How does it feel typing on the keyboard? What is the view from your window? What are the clothes you are wearing? What is the perfume jo aapne subah lagaya? That
Wow.
vision needs to be that specific, and it needs to
Specific.
be a vision that not only gets you excited, but that vision should also make you a little nervous
Nervous.
because the idea is to come out of your comfort zone. The second point he talked about was that you have to be intrinsically motivated.
Hmm.
See, if you're looking for motivation from outside you, then that is simply life giving you feedback that you are not aligned with what is most authentic for you.
Hmm.
Then you will land
Very
up in
true,
a
sir. Yeah.
situation, you'll land up in a situation where, you need the paycheck and you can't leave the job, but the job doesn't mean anything to you.
Hmm.
Because motivation is a symptom,
Hmm.
it's not a cause.
Right.
So you have to be intrinsically motivated because when you are intrinsically motivated, you're working on things that are really priorities for you and you will even welcome the challenges in your journey. जैसे एक बच्चा वीडियो गेम खेल रहा होता है, वो वीडियो गेम की बैटरी खत्म हो गई, so the child will run out, take the batteries out of the TV remote, come back and keep playing, and the parents will have to say, "Hey भगवान, अब तो screen छोड़ दे," you know. So, because the child is aligned with that priority of having fun. So, when you want to have,
Yeah.
when it's your priority and you're intrinsically motivated, you will even welcome the disturbances in the journey.
Yeah.
The third thing he talked about is you have to have connected relationships. And these connected relationships are very important because, this is actually the number one factor that is going to determine the length of your life, the length of your happy life.
Happy life.
It's not diet, it's not exercise, it's not habits like smoking, it's not how sedentary you're going to be. The number one factor is the social interactions that you have, and there was a 70-year Harvard study on this. So connected relationships is exceptionally important because if you want to go quickly, go by yourself. But if you want to go far, you'll have to go with others. right?
Right.
So if you
हाँ,
want to achieve big things in life, you're going to have लोगों को साथ लेकर के जाना पड़ेगा.
लेके चलना पड़ेगा.
Absolutely. So that was the third thing that he said. The fourth thing that he mentioned was you have to have grit and resilience.
Hmm.
So, grit is the ability to treat life as a marathon, it's not a
Yes.
sprint. It's the ability to work with a lot of passion and a lot of perseverance on incredibly long term goals. Things that are not going to happen in a matter of weeks, things that are not going to happen in a matter of months, but they are going to take years.
Yes, to work.
And for that, it has to be your priority because otherwise, you'll fizzle out.
Right.
And the other thing is resilience. So, life has this wonderful method of not asking for your permission before it throws you a googly, right? The events in life are not in your control. The only thing in your
Very
control,
true.
it's how you respond to the event,
Yes.
and that is what determines the outcome. So having that ability, in people, in systems, to be able to bounce back without the loss of enthusiasm. So the fourth thing he said was that you need to have this grit and resilience. And the fifth thing that he talked about was being able to take things to a meaningful conclusion. That last mile delivery is essential. And it's a very uncrowded space because a lot of people think that they get paid for looking busy or putting in the hours. You don't get paid for looking busy or putting in the hours, you get paid for results. And when it comes to results, the answer is typically a yes or a no answer.
Yeah.
And for that, you have to understand that अगर आप उस परिस्थिति को मुकाम तक नहीं ले गए, if you don't take that situation to a meaningful conclusion, then it doesn't matter. It's like a student saying that, I studied so hard, I got 38%, passing mark was 40%. The closer you get to the passing mark, but don't pass, the worse you will feel,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So it's very important to take 40 पार करो, या अगर आपका टारगेट 90 है, 90 पार करो.
90 पार करो.
Karo.
पार करो.
So, these were the 5 things that he talked about. Now, one of the things that we need to understand is, everybody talks about the comfort zone and everybody talks about the miracle zone.
Mhm.
Now, the comfort zone is a zone where, you have some money in your wallet. You may not be very wealthy, but you have some money. Zindagi chal rahi hai. You have a roof over your head, you have food on the table, right? And the miracle zone is the zone where you've really become that magnet for abundance, and you've got the Midas touch. You're attracting all of these wonderful things into your life. You're making progress because you're working very hard and you're working, in the right direction. Now, everybody talks about this, but nobody talks about what you're going to encounter on the
Hunter.
journey.
Yes.
And the nature of this journey is such that the life that you desire to create requires you to live in a life that lacks everything that you want.
Yeah.
And the feeling of failure is going to intensify as you walk that journey. Handling that intensifying feeling of failure is the key to unlocking the success that you desire. So, if you want to be rich, you're going to have to work very hard. You're going to have to work smart. You're going to have to create a second income. You're going to have to save money. You're going to have to live below your means. And all of that, while you are on the journey, will make you feel even more poor, but it is actually making you rich.
Rich. Yeah.
You want a fit body, you're going to have to exercise, you're going to have to eat right, you're going to have to sleep right, you are going to have to deal with your stress,
Yeah.
and you have full responsibilities. You have a home to manage, you have an office to manage. All of that can make you feel even more exhausted while you're on the journey, but it is actually making you strong.
Strong. Yeah.
You want
So that's
healthy relationships, you're going to have to set the right boundaries, you're going to have to deal with your trauma, the neglect, the abandonment, the abuse, the scarring that you may have been through. You're going to have to process all of that. Um, and all of that can make you feel even more broken while you're on the journey, but it is actually healing you and making you wise. So, the life you want to create requires you to be able to walk through a journey that lacks everything that you want. And
right.
handling that journey is the key to getting to that life. because the human brain is not made for success. The human brain is made for survival. And millions of years of evolution have forced us to become creatures that think from this organ in our head, in our hind brain, called the amygdala. Now, this amygdala is where your fight or flight
Fight or flight.
response
Yeah.
lives.
Right.
And there was a lot of use of this amygdala at a time because modern society and security and energy and food systems and security of life is a very recent phenomena.
Hmm.
So we've existed as human beings in this Homo sapien form for about 30 lakh years on the planet, 3 million years. And it's only a few thousand years that we have organized fused food systems, starting from agriculture to the supermarkets that you have today. Before this, we used to go out into the forest as hunter-gatherers, right? So millions of years of evolution have gotten us to use our amygdala in a very heavy capacity. And the use of it was that, when you go out into the jungle to gather your food or to hunt for food, um, there is a tiger that comes in front of you, and you immediately have to decide whether should I fight the tiger or should I run to save my life, right? So
Yeah.
the
True.
amygdala was very important, but now the
Yeah.
amygdala is not as important. What's more
As
important
important.
is
Yeah.
the front part of your brain, which is your medial prefrontal cortex.
Hmm.
This is where vision and strategy live. And to walk this journey, from instead of using your amygdala to your prefrontal cortex, this is moving from survival thinking to success thinking. Because, like I said, if you're not yet successful, then you've not fully rewired the neural pathways that are required to move from that baser instinct to
Basil.
more
So,
advanced thinking.
yeah.
Because success requires spending energy, survival requires conserving energy, and everybody is looking for the path of least resistance.
Resistance.
So the human brain is not fundamentally made for success, it's made for survival. And anybody trying anything new, nobody's going to be successful the first time. You don't start swimming laps when you jump into the pool for the first time.
Hmm.
You're not doing wheelies the first time you ride a bicycle, right? So it's going to take a little while before you gain momentum. And the issue is that the start is the hardest,
Hmm.
and the
It's
middle is
always that.
always confusing and messy.
Yeah.
But if you follow Lage Raho Munna Bhai, then the end is always obvious.
Lage raho munna bhai.
Correct. So I thought I would just share that a little bit with you. I hope that is sufficient. I hope that's enough. And
Absolutely, sir. That's a very good context. I think the audience would have a lot of questions, and that's where I'll open the forum for questions. Uh, uh, the feeler which I've been getting from a lot of alumni is, of course, it's a tough job market,
yeah,
right?
Ji.
So, what do we need to do strategically, and so on and so forth. And right from there are some people, alumni who passed out of IFT in 2021, just about 2 to 3 years back. They're already looking out for change because of dissatisfaction in their current jobs, and so on and so forth, because of X, Y, Z issues. Boss is bad, the work culture is bad, and so on and so forth. So I think now we'll open the forum to questions. Manoj,
Sure.
if you could just help us with
Yes, so
other,
I am going to actually
yeah,
post.
yes, please. Over to you, Manish.
I'd be happy to have people come on screen if they can and ask the question. I think that'll make it a little more interactive. If
Yes,
Correct.
absolutely, absolutely. IFTNs, please switch on your screens and go for it.
So
It's a
if
very valuable
anyone would
session.
like to ask a question, you can just put in the chat. I will
Yes.
probably pull it up.
Yeah.
Samir,
Yes.
so I was more curious when you said that he has this 90-day program. So if
Yeah, yeah.
Savan could elaborate on that, I think that got missed out somewhere. I think
Sure,
many
sure.
of the
Savan sir, the
alums would be curious on that.
the the 90-day plan.
This is really a journey, like I said in the beginning, the road to career development is paved with personal development. So there are two parts to this program where we first work to build a personal foundation. See, one of the things that people need to understand is that these things are so deeply related. Your personal development and your career development so deeply related. And the problem with personal development is that you are being asked to appreciate something that is outside of your direct experience. Like, for example, we all know how difficult it would be to climb Mount Everest. I was just talking about mountaineering and mountain climbing. And we all know how difficult that would be. It's very easy to make it intellectual cholesterol. It's very easy to understand it intellectually. But the fear, the doubt, the overwhelm, the vulnerability that you go through when you're actually in that death zone above 26,000 feet, that cannot be experienced secondhand. And that is what makes you a leader. When your body chemistry, when your mind, everything, goes through that actual experience, that is where you tap into that version of yourself that your career and your life requires you to be. So there is one side of the program which is personal development, and the other side of the program is entirely career strategies. And those career strategies are heavily customized. So, it is, everybody's had a unique journey. There has been a method to their madness in terms of their career journey. Why when one step led to another. And it's very important to understand what the learnings from that was. Because then only we can create that customized game plan for you to supercharge your career, where you can increase your salary 2x to 4x, or even, I mean, we've had cases where people have been able to take it to a 10x. There was a student of mine. Now this guy was a IIM graduate, and he said, "Sir, I learned more in your program than I did spending 45 lakhs at IIM for my MBA." He was working at Amazon. His name is Abhishek Simadri. He was working at Amazon as a product manager and making a salary of 48 lakhs, which is a decent salary. He was working in Hyderabad, and he had a lot of affinity for all of these Eastern cultures. So he said, "Sir, मेरे को ये Far East में काम करना है. I want to work in Japan or Korea or Indonesia, countries like that." So I said, "Okay, let's run an international campaign." And we ran a campaign. He generated 3 job offers. He got picked up by this company called Coupang in South Korea. It's the largest e-commerce player there in South Korea. And the package that he was hired for was 3.65 crores. So the jump was from 48 lakhs to 3.65 crores. Now that's an example of somebody in the middle management stage that was, really able to do some wonderful things. He's been there now. And he said, "Sir, I think I'm ready now to try for the CEO position for mid-size e-commerce players in the Middle East." So I said, "Target package?" He says, "Sir, 7 crores. I said, "Oh, let's have some fun. करके देखते हैं." He's pretty close. He's close to cracking 2 offers. And they are in that range. Another one of my students, this guy, he's just, he was a more senior professional, and he was 2 weeks away from retirement. He was a manager in the internal audit space, running a department here in India for his company. His company is MRM Safal Group. And he came and attended the program. He attended the training, the 3-day training that I run. And he got so inspired, he said, "I'm going to join this level and I'm not going to take a decision to retire till the next 90 days. His name is Ramesh Chandran. And he came in and ran the program, started working with me on the implementation. Now, in the implementation, he gets his first raise. His first raise was 37 lakhs pre-tax, about 32 lakhs post-tax. And then he applied the system again. See, because one of the outcomes is you will master how to apply it repeatedly and create a profound acceleration. So he applied it a second time, and when he applied it a second time, within 5 months, he got a second raise of 24 lakhs and he was given a bonus of 60 lakhs. And these were all value propositions that he ran in risk governance and internal audit. And he is now in the top 7 people in the company. And he recently came to one of our events and he says, "Sir, I would have retired. And I attended your 90-minute session, and then I attended your program and decided to not take a decision till I work with you. And I have gained in the last 6 months, I've added 1 crore rupees to my total CTC." Then I had another student, his name is Pranjal, young man, 6 months bhi nahi the. I mean, not even 6 months of experience. Starting salary of somewhere around 3 to 4 lakhs ka CTC, and he came into the program and he was quite disoriented. So he came in, and I don't know what happened, but something made him wake up, and he said, "You know what, I'm going to do this. Doesn't matter what happens, what doesn't happen, I'm going to do this." First implementation, salary jumps from 4 lakhs to 12 lakhs. Second implementation, it jumps from 12 lakhs to 28 lakhs. Third implementation, it jumps to 52 lakhs. All of this happened in 1 year. He sends me an email a few months ago with a photograph of him standing outside a villa with a Skoda Rapid. And the email just has 3 words. It says, "Because of you." So I told the team, "यार जल्दी से प्रांजल को फोन मिलाओ, ये क्या कर रहा है, ये धूम मचा रहा है थोड़ी." So I spoke to him and he said, "Sir, now I know there is no stopping me. The amount of value I can add to my career is entirely in my hands. It's not up to the company, it's not up to my boss, it's not up to the environment, it's only up to me."
So it is not up to the environment also, because everybody is saying market बहुत tough है, market बहुत tough है. There are a lot of recruiters also who are IF teams and are here, and I would request them to ask questions also. And everybody is saying, boss, across industries कुछ नहीं मिल रहा, बहुत tough है, बहुत tough है, बहुत tough है, right? And
See,
everybody's been saying that.
the greater your personal development, the lesser the conditions of the market will matter, because markets will always grow 5, 10, 15% ऊपर नीचे. This, you can't time it. If Warren Buffett couldn't time the market, तो हम लोग क्या है?
Right, right.
So, stop hating the game. Learn how to
Yeah.
play it.
Yeah.
Right? There is an entire market that people don't even know about, that unpublished job market. Now, it's not for everyone, because, it takes real grit and resilience to be able to tap into that market. You build a list of qualified suspects. You have to do hard data research. You're researching their financials, you're researching their industry, markets, competitive landscape. You're doing all of that to build a very, very credible value proposition. And then you're finding out about their culture. Because what is the definition of a dream job? The definition of a dream job is a job where you can deliver the outcome. So you have the competence to create the results. You can tackle the opportunities and the challenges that they are confronted with. And everybody is looking for someone to, solve problems. And the culture is such that it is suitable for who you are as a personality. So, I can ask the room to do this simple exercise.
No, please go ahead, sir.
The exercise would be, I want you to picture that you are this beautiful, elegant bird, that is gliding in the wind. In your mind's eye, create this image that you're this beautiful, elegant bird that is gliding, above the waves on the seashore.
Sure.
You can feel the sunlight hitting your face. You can feel the cool breeze beneath your wings. Now, while you have this image of this beautiful, peaceful, bird in your mind, don't lose the image. The physical action that I want you to take is the action of hammering a nail into a wall. Don't lose the image. The image in your mind is that peaceful bird that is gliding. While holding that, the physical action is hammering a nail into the wall. Try doing it and see what it feels like. It's difficult, right? It's confusing.
Confusing.
Yeah, it's contradictory.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you start out, your environment will be more powerful than you. So it's very important till you develop that mindset. It's very important you're in the right environment. You cannot be a beautiful bird in a hammer and nail environment, and you cannot be a hammer and nail in a beautiful bird environment. The point I'm trying to make is some people work really well. Their productivity shines when they have the calmness and the composure in the environment around them. And some people can deal with the craziness and the chaos. And some people are a mix, they are 40-60 or a 70-30. I mean, it goes back to being able to understand your psychology and being able to understand your leadership style. There's a lot of science to this. And all of these things are science, Interviewing is a science, dealing with recruiters is a science, ability to research companies is a science, developing your resume is a science, your performance appraisal is a science. So the fundamental question is, what is your ability and what is your capability of understanding these sciences? Because hiring has changed.
Yeah.
So if you're going back with the same capability, trying to solve even more complex problems, it's not going to work.
Not going to work. Yes. So that's always been the heart of the system, sir. STP, which I've followed for a long time.
Right.
Which you've been reinforcing throughout the entire video.
अब तो
Manish,
समीर, I know, knowing you, I know आगे बहुत amazing चीजें आने वाली हैं, and I'm eagerly waiting for them.
I mean, very soon.
Love.
I have a few questions that have come my way, but
Yes.
I will need these people to switch on their camera to be pulled on camera.
If
For
they
now,
can, otherwise, if you put them
yes,
on
if
screen,
they
I don't
can.
know.
It's okay. Sir, can I request in case Aaj without screen if the questions
That's
can
fine.
be
That's
answered?
fine.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all
छुट्टी
right.
का दिन है, I know, I can completely understand.
Exactly.
So
Sunday
people
type
might
feeling
be
आ रही है
some.
लोगों को Wednesday में.
So, I think the first person who reached out to the question was Gopal. So I'm just going to pull Gopal.
If they
Gopal,
can
please
turn on their
unmute
camera,
yourself.
that would be
Yes.
great.
And Gopal, if you could please unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can, Gopal. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, sir. So, sir, thank you for the session. Sir, one question, like you mentioned about knowing the company culture in deep. So, just wanted to know because normally we go on the website of the company and try to know their vision, core values, and all. But it is very difficult to know inside, what is actually going on, which you emphasize more on that. So, sir, can you just advise on how we can proceed on that, like how we can do more on the culture, research on more on the culture side of the company?
That's a very good question, because I'll tell you the number one reason for dissatisfaction for working professionals comes from the fact that they are not able to build the right relationships, within the company, with their boss and their colleagues. That's by far the number one factor for dissatisfaction. See, people do a lot for money, they do more for a good leader, but they do most for a belief. And when a leader has the ability to marry you to the right set of beliefs, that is where magic can really begin to happen. So that's a wonderful question. Now, the answer to this is how to uncover the culture of a company before you take the decision to join them. Because as I was speaking earlier, in the traditional job search and job application process, what is happening is आप कंपनी को मार्केट कर रहे हो, कंपनी आपको मार्केट कर रही है, right? So how to be able to overcome that? How to understand the true ground reality of their culture? See, when you begin interacting with the company, you're going to meet these two populations, these two types of people. One set is called first connects. Now, these first connects are typically junior to middle managers in the company. And the role that they are going to play in your job search and job application journey is that they are going to tell you their experience of what it was like to work with the company. Because the way an organization has treated its existing employees is the best indicator of how you are going to be treated. These people are not decision makers. They are only going to share that experience with you, but they will only share that experience with you if you set the right context. And the context cannot be that you are a job seeker, because the minute they understand that you are a job seeker, the company will start marketing itself to you. Just the way you are marketing yourself to the company will start marketing itself to you. Now, the second set of people that you will meet is called first researched. Now, these first researched are decision makers. These are people who have the power and the authority to be able to give you the job. They can make that decision. They can say, yeah, मुझे ये पसंद आया, मैं इसको, I want to hire this person, and these are the terms and conditions. This is the salary package. I want to hire this person. So now what happens is when you're trying to reach out to a decision maker, they are typically guarded by an executive assistant or a secretary or some kind of a gatekeeper. So getting access to them is not easy. Especially if you look at it in the context that there was no job posting and you're trying to get a decision maker to make a decision on something they are not even aware of. So you really have to create the rationale of how to manage that interaction. And in that interaction, when you ask them for their advice, because you're not asking them for a job, you're asking them for advice. The way you structure your questions is what is going to help you uncover true insight about the actual reality in the company. Now, the challenge that I have is how to tell you in 2 minutes what people go through in that 90-day journey. There was a student of mine, his name is Sri Harsha, and he was working in the IT space, and he was full of fear because he had been treated badly in his professional life. The boss was very harsh, very unreasonable. And he came into the program and started working with me and said, sir, I know I'm capable of doing much better things. Ran a campaign. Now, the campaign that he ran generated 6 job offers. Labs and one more company, I'm forgetting the name, but these were the 6 offers that came his way. And in the interviewing process, he was applying for a position of director. It was a mid-level position in software development. They told him, you're too qualified for director, so we are going to offer you the vice president position. So he said, okay. Came back for the third interview. This happened in the second interview. Third interview came back. They said, you're too qualified for the VP position. We want you to be our chief architect. He was applying for a role that was paying them in the mid 30s. He got hired for a salary of 92 lakhs. This was all because of how he used the system to manage that personal interaction with the company. Another one of my students, his name is Tausif Ahmed. Company and his manager was trying to lock him into a bond. Okay, we'll give you 2 lakh rupees more, but you sign this 5-year bond that 5 years you are going to be with us. So he came back to me, sir, kya karo? And I said, Tausif, meri rai mein, I don't think you should sign this. I think you're capable of much more. He was working at a salary of, I think, about 22 lakhs. He said, sir, thoda international exposure chahiye. I want to work abroad as well. So I said, okay, let's run a campaign. We ran a campaign and he generated an offer from this Swedish company called Black Ladder. They are in the footwear and working garments space. They make working garments, they make footwear. And he got the job to be their country manager in Vietnam. So he started with that role where, he was running the Vietnam business. And the jump was from 20 lakhs to 45 lakhs. So I said, see, I told you. And the total time taken was 47 days. I said, 47 days, I told you, now don't sign the bond. So this is the outcome. And then he has grown twice since. So the next step was for him to take over Asia Head, and he established a new factory for them in Kandy in Sri Lanka. Now he travels to Sweden, as their head of the Asia program, often with his family. So, the kinds of things that are possible from this, it will be very difficult for you to be able to appreciate that fully because right now you're not even thinking in that scale. And I know there is absolutely nothing wrong with anyone in this room. But I cannot play the game on your behalf. That's the only thing that I cannot do because a coach is not a paid best friend. You know, they have to show you the limitations that are holding you back and then be able to guide you through them. So Gopal, I hope that gave you a little bit of insight in your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
I'd like to bring on Munmun Mohanty for the next question. This is the second person that came up with a question on my chat. So, Munmun, if you are in the room, please switch on your mic. And
Hi, thank you for bringing me up. I'm actually unfortunately traveling, so it won't be
Oh,
possible for me to come on video. I hope that's okay.
absolutely fine. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So my question was, sir, that often happens that in the early years of your career, you think of a hard pivot. To give context, I hail from a background in consulting, and I've often thought about, switching gears and moving into a more streamlined career path. Say strategy with a startup or a role in private equity. So these kind of pivots usually is not very possible when you're following the job boards, like you said, the published job markets. So I just wanted to ask how I can better leverage the unpublished job markets channels like referrals and cold mails, etc., to make a case, even though my profile and my skills may not be a one-to-one fit to to the role I'm looking to pivot. So that's what I wanted to ask.
See, the beauty of the SPT model is that it shifts your value from being based solely in your career history and your educational credentials to largely being based on the value proposition that you are going to create using our strategies and processes. So it opens up a scope that otherwise would not be possible. As you have also correctly diagnosed that, following the traditional career path, you're not going to be able to do that. I just
Yeah.
recently had this student. Her name is Manvi Makhijani. She was working with a consulting company called GEP Worldwide.
Yeah.
And again, not very satisfied with her career, wanted to get more exposure, wanted to be able to accelerate her career journey. Just took up a role with the company in Dubai called Efficio. They're
Okay.
also in the consulting space. First client is going to be in Riyadh, and then she's going to be handling the MENA region for them.
Okay.
And the jump was from 32 lakhs to 97 lakhs. And
That's great.
the good thing in Dubai is all of that income is tax free. So, you don't even have to pay the government there, which is a nice little added bonus. But the method to tap into that market is to begin by building a list of suspect companies. And this is what I teach. The challenge again is I teach people this framework over a 3-day, training event. I don't know how to automatically download all of that into your mind. I mean, we don't come with a little USB slot where I can just slide it in and then automatically it comes there. You unfortunately will have to go through the journey for you to understand how to be able to do that.
Got it.
But I hope it gave you some insight into, you build that list of suspects, then you work on what is known as hard data research, and that is looking through financial industry, market, competitive, and credit research to understand what are the symptoms, what are the problems, and the opportunities in front of the company. And then you make a assessment. Can I solve these problems and challenges? So that is what takes a suspect company to a prospect company. And then you begin evaluating their culture as an outsider. And if you get the very specific elements that you're looking for in terms of culture, that prospect company then moves to a target company. And those are the companies that you will send your value proposition to and then manage the interaction to get hired.
Understood. That helps. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
the next person I'd like to pull up is Ashish Chaturvedi. Ashish, if you're in the room.
Uh,
Hello, Ashish.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are
Am
you?
I audible?
Yes.
I'm good. So the question that I want to ask is, I'm a graduate from Banaras University in 2022 in mathematics honors, and I was a co-founder and treasurer of an NGO which was based in Varanasi. As I'm pursuing my MBA, I wish to pursue a career in finance. But as I did not have any prior experience or education in that domain, I'm quite unsure of it. So, what should be the way that I can navigate through the decision what I want to pursue, which the stream I want to pursue my career in, and what can be the outcome so that I can better leverage it for my aspirational journey that you said.
Right. No, beautiful question, Ashish. I'll tell you, there are two questions here. One is understanding what you really want to do, and that is a part of our engagement. So, when I work with a student, I help them because you see the what you are meant to do. A lot of people will send me an email, sir, I want a career in finance. Should I join a bank or should I join a fintech company? What should I do? And I say, I can't answer that. You sent me a one-line email. I can't answer that in a one-line email. I need to learn more about you, right? Because what you're meant to do, the industry, the function that you're supposed to be in, that answer lives inside you. My job is to help you bring it out with clarity where you're really excited about it, right? So there is a process to do that. How we understand your larger purpose, how you create goals based on that purpose, how you create immediate priorities, and how all of this creates a very solid anchoring foundation for you to come to realize that this is actually your true calling. It's something that you can be involved in for a number of years and you'll not get bored of it. It'll not become a burden. So that's one. The second thing, the second part of, could you just repeat your question real quick?
One more thing, the question that I had was, as I did not have any prior experience, should I
Correct. Right, I got it now. So the second problem that you are facing is what is known as the permission paradox. Now, I'll tell you what is this permission paradox, and this limits a lot of people in their careers. You don't have the experience to get the job, and you cannot get the job without first getting the experience. Now, there are a number of methods to be able to break through this problem. आशीष आपके चेहरे पे जो स्माइल आ रही है that tells me कि it is connected with you, it's resonated with you. Because you're wanting to apply for roles that are currently slightly outside of uh, the scope of what you can enable for yourself.
indeed, sir?
So now there are a number of direct strategies and there are a number of indirect strategies that will have to be used to be able to overcome this blockage. One very simple one to understand is to be able to use your transferable skills. See, there are a number of skills that are going to be transferable. Your time management skills, your organizational skills, your relationship building skills, your communication skills, your strategic thinking skills, your execution ability, your assertiveness. There are a number of skills that are going to be able to move with you from industry to industry and function to function. But beyond that, there is a number of other strategies that have to be used. For example, understanding everyone's situational pressures within an organization and where can you help them so that they are open to helping you. They are open to helping you create access to those types of opportunities and roles. Another one might be getting certain certifications that begin to partially open that door to such roles. The right kind of upskilling. Another one would be pretending to be the leader. You see a problem in an area that you're interested in, but it's not supposed to be handled by you. It's supposed to be handled by some other person, some other department. I never asked for permission in my career, but I'm very okay asking for forgiveness. If they feel I've stepped on their toes and I've jumped into their area, मैं माफी मांग लूंगा पर मैं अनुमति नहीं मांगता. So I would jump into that area, build the solution, and I would go and hand it to them. कि भाई you go take the credit. मेरे को नहीं चाहिए credit. The minute you start doing this, आपने ये 2-3 बार कर लिया, सबको दिख जाएगा कि असली काम कर कौन रहा है. These things don't stay hidden. So there is a number of strategies that we use. There's about 26 direct strategies and about 50 indirect strategies that we use to overcome this permission paradox, where it opens the door for you to be able to access opportunities where you don't have the direct experience. Because the reality is, the majority of the learning is on the job learning. The majority of the learning is not in a classroom. See, there is a very beautiful statement. A salary is a drug that an employer pays you for you to forget your dreams. And you find this statement circulating on social media. So somebody asked me, I think I was in someone's podcast or something, and they asked me, sir, what do you think about this statement? I said, I strongly disagree with it. A salary is a drug that an employer pays you for you to forget your dreams. And I said, the reason I disagree with it is because the majority of the learning is happening on the job. And you see, it's a free country. We live in one of the largest democratic capitalist economies in the world. We have a phenomenal startup ecosystem. Go raise funds, start your own business. हमारे संविधान में कहीं नहीं लिखा कि आप जाकर के अपना बिजनेस नहीं शुरू कर सकते. मोदी जी रात को आकर के 8 बजे वो नहीं बोलेंगे मित्रों. That won't happen. Don't worry. But you know, the point that I'm trying to make is that if you cannot solve the challenges in your salaried employed capacity, then entrepreneurship is very far. Don't live in a bubble. Don't trick yourself, because you will learn to become an entrepreneur if you learn how to solve unfair situations of increasing complexity. And for that, you are being paid a salary to become the masterpiece that you're capable of being. The unfair boss, the unreasonable environment, the difficulty in the office, the challenges in life that are asking you to stretch, they are not your enemies. They are your best friends. They have to show up for you to tap into that version of yourself that can someday be an entrepreneur or someday go on to do great things. Understand the strategic value of failure. But the problem is most people let that failure define them at such a personal level that they stop trying. Failure is only feedback. It's only guiding you back towards what is most authentic for you. So I hope that made a little bit of sense, Ashish. Thank you for your great question.
Indeed, sir. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Manish, that's fine. That question is fine.
Manish?
Yes. So for the next question, I want to pull up one second. Mr. Ravi Junjunwala.
Put the focus on him, please, Mr. Ravi Junjunwala.
Yeah, hello, sir. Yeah. Good
Hi,
morning.
Ravi. Good morning.
Sir, I learn from failures actually. So I study like the failed people actually. So, like any of your stories, like of the client, why they were not able to move up, you can say in the corporate world or that way. Can you please share those?
Absolutely. See, I'll tell you, coaching in India is not an easy industry from that perspective, because the value of coaching is hard to understand. There is an intellectual arrogance that begins to take hold the higher you go in the pyramid, because you've already achieved a certain amount of success. And a lot of people will come in telling me, sir, 100% आप जो बोलोगे मैं करूंगा. But बात करने वाले और करके दिखाने वालों में बहुत जमीन आसमान का अंतर होता है. बात करना सबको आता है. It's very easy to talk that game. So the way I put it is, if you follow the system, if you work the system will work for you. And that is where you have to be coachable. So there have been instances where somebody will come in and they will say, okay, yeah, I want to get this done. I'm going to give it 100% blood, sweat and tears. But then what I find in the journey is they are not doing the assignments. They are not doing the homework. They are not putting in the effort. They're not taking ownership of it. That is why success is so rare. But the issue is, Success is never fatal or final. So जो student ये कहता है कि भाई सर ये मेरे लिए काम नहीं किया and everything, I said बेटा लाइफ खत्म नहीं हो गई है, वापस आ जा. You're going to try and you're going to try with more experience now. This time you will break through. And when they break through at that time, then they come to understand, yeah, it took me a little bit of a stepping stone in the middle to get there. And that was very needed because that showed me that none of this is final. It's not fatal. I survived it. That is the true value of failure. So it's wonderful that you study failure from that capacity because it is a far more powerful teacher than success. See, look at it from this perspective. Life teaches us in these two ways. It teaches us through success and it teaches us through failure. But failure is more powerful. But the problem is, if you're successful, people will want to listen to you. Everything that you say will become legendary. But if you are not successful, then the impact that you will have on the world will mean nothing. Nobody will want to listen to you. And what is the gap between the generations? The gap between the generations is that by the time the son understands that the father was right, he has a son who thinks he's wrong. So until you create a vision for your own life to say that, this is what I want to go on to do. Because a lot of people fall in this category of being lazy ambitious. They talk a big game, but the reality of their life does not reflect that. And anybody who's gone on to do meaningful things has to live with a tremendous amount of opposition. That is the price you pay for success. So these are the kind of hires that companies also want to be careful from. People who are lazy ambitious. They have big ambitions, but they are not willing to put in the work. And because it is very hard to diagnose this in one's own self, they keep living in a bubble. उनकी जिंदगी कट जाती है, वो अपने आप को स्मार्ट समझते रहते हैं, पर लाइफ में ढेला नहीं कर पाए. See, there are 4 sides to an individual's personality. There is a side called your open self. Now, what is this open self? This open self is behaviors that you are capable of, that you know about, and the world can also see. Then there is a second side to you, which is known as your blind self. These are things that you cannot see, but the world can see. And all of your limiting beliefs, all of your growth lies in that area. Then there is a third side to your personality, which is your hidden self. Things that you know about yourself that you hide from the world because you don't want to lose status in the eyes of the world. And then there is a fourth side, which is your unknown self. There is both good behaviors and potentially bad behaviors that live in that side. So when I work with a student, we have to polish all of these areas. We have to help them understand what is living in their blind self. What are things that they do that they should not do because they are self-sabotaging behaviors. And then what is in their hidden self? All of the pain that they have gone through life where they are unhealed, because hurt people hurt other people. So if you don't heal yourself from that, it's like permanently carrying a burden. It's like giving rent-free space to the enemy in your head and hoping that you're going to have a better life. It's like us drinking the poison, expecting the other one to die. So I hope that gave you some insight into the nature of what it takes to be coachable and the fact that jab jago tab savera.
For the next question, I'm going to be pulling up Aditya Kumar Mishra from the IFT Alumni Relations Council. Let's just come up on camera.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll be graduating fresh in 2026 and taking up a new job. I just wanted to know how can I make sure that my learning curve is the steepest and I can grow as fast as possible in the initial years.
My learning curve is the steepest. I think I was talking about, I don't know, Aditya, if you were there in the early part of when the session began. I was talking about how there is no difference between the word responsibility and word adventure. Did
Yep.
you hear that part?
Yep, I did.
So that would be the way to accelerate your learning to its highest pace. अगर पूरा accelerator घुमाना है motorcycle का, then seek out the path of maximum responsibility. Learn to stretch yourself, learn to grow your capability of what you can handle. The better you get at handling unfair situations of increasing complexity, you know, in the situations where you feel यहाँ तो बिल्कुल भी मेरी गलती नहीं थी, ये तो मेरे साथ बहुत unfair हो रहा है. Even in those situations, the question you need to ask yourself is, what is this situation trying to teach me, and where is the opportunity within the problem? That is where you move from survival thinking to success thinking. So if you begin to tap into that, जहाँ पे लगे ना कि यार ये तो मेरे साथ बहुत गलत हुआ है, this is completely unfair, I was not at fault, till you don't see, please understand, God is not a cosmic butler. हम सब अलग अलग रिलीजन से हैं. This is not a religious topic that I am addressing. You could be Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, whatever you follow, blessings in the energy that you follow. But whatever higher power you pray to, that individual is not a cosmic universal servant that is sitting in the sky waiting for you to pray to him so that he can grant your wishes. A better way of going about it is, before you go to bed tonight, sit on the edge of your bed and ask yourself this question: what is the one insanely stupid thing that I'm doing in my life that if I stop doing is going to significantly improve my life and improve the experience of others around me? You will get an answer. You will not like that answer. You have to really want that answer. So when you sit on the edge of your bed and you ask yourself that question, the heavens will give you an answer. But you have to really want it. Because the first step of creating progress is not going to come from what are the new things you need to start doing, but from first doing a cleanup of what are some of the things that you are doing that are no longer serving you. And then please understand, there is no substitute for actual experience, but all of the education that you go through, the wonderful curriculums that you go through at institutions like IIFT, all of that is going to compound. So continue to add skill to yourself. And a lot of people talk about, multiple streams of income. That's great, but that will come later in life. Nobody got rich through multiple streams of income. They started with becoming incredibly good at one thing and one thing alone. So select one thing that really connects and resonates with you and get really good at it. Get so good at it that nobody can touch you. It's not about learning 5 different programming languages. It is about learning one programming language and becoming so insanely good at it that you're the best in the world in that particular area. Today we have large learning models for machine learning. Google has just paid almost 2.7 billion to bring that person back. It's all over social media right now. He was an AI machine learning engineer, and he was let go by Google because when he brought this whole thing to Google, they said, no, this doesn't really have promise. And he said, I'm going to go and create my own company. And he created a company called Character AI. It's valued at over $1 billion. Now they've bought him and they've brought him back into the Google ecosystem to say, Galti ho gayi, aaja, let's work together. That's because he wasn't focusing on 5 different languages. He was focusing on one thing, and that is how you let deep expertise take hold in you. So select some one thing and become phenomenally brilliant at that one thing. See, these are the 4 things that, these are the 4 areas that you need to have an appreciation for. It doesn't matter what industry you go to. It does not matter what function you work in. But in general, if you have appreciation for these 4 areas, One is sales, because we are all fundamentally selling something. You could be in IT, you could be in operations, you could be in any field or function. We are always selling something. Primarily, we are selling ourselves. People have to buy into us before they buy into our ideas. So, one is sales. Two is human nature. Begin to understand human nature. People are not interested in you for who you are, they are interested in you for how you make them feel. Companies don't relate with you for your needs or your greatness. They relate with you for the problems and opportunities that they are facing. So, sales, second thing, human nature. Third, psychology. How the mind works, how your own mind works, because it is a phenomenal instrument and organ. It has infinite power, and we don't tap into it. We keep living at 40-50% of our capacity to really reason and think. And the fourth is negotiation. Because we don't get what we deserve, we get what we can negotiate. So if you master these four areas, it doesn't matter what industry you're working in, you're going to crack it. So Aditya, I hope I was able to answer a little bit of your question there.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Manish, can we take a couple more, maybe one or two more?
Yes. So for the next question, I'm going to pull up Anil Kolla, who was on camera for quite some time actually.
Right. Thank you. Thanks. Hi,
Yeah,
sir. Great meeting you. Sir, see, I've been a passer of IFT 2012. Last 12 years, I worked with majorly ITC and now with a startup in the last 1.5 year. Okay. So what I wanted to, ask you is, during all this experience, particularly being at ITC for more than a decade, what people like me become are general management experts. Okay. Somewhere we have a niche where we obviously have the strength, okay, but we are more of a general management experts. Okay, we can manage anything, can do anything. But now when you go and try to reach out to potential recruiters, okay, now that does not easily work. Okay, it does not get connected, and I've tried that unknowingly earlier. It really failed big time. So my question is, people like me, or particularly in my case, okay, of course, the understanding my profile and all that, right, my strengths. What's the right way to reach out to? Reach out and elevate, right? What I can really bring onto the table. I would like to take this discussion further also with you as a one-to-one. I just wanted to put it there, but maybe a direction from you on this forum will help me to identify what I should be doing along with you going further.
Sure. See, I'll tell you, आप जो कर रहे हो ना, आप कर ठीक रहे हो. First of all, you work for a company that is deeply admired. And I'll tell you, I've had a lot of dealing with your organization. I've done the lighting for most of your projects. And I know the company from the time when Kapil Chugh was chairman.
Ah, okay.
So a long time ago. I'll tell you, what you're doing is the right thing, but unfortunately, when you're dealing with recruiters, their fiduciary duty is to hire a mandate for the companies. And there is an element of your question that is talking about what pays better, generalization or specialization.
Yeah, in a way.
Because that is the mandate that they are looking for, and that is why you're not as successful in the market. Because unko ye tick boxes mein tick lagana hai. You are excellent at solving problems regardless of the nature of the problem that you're solving, because आपकी ITC में सारी training ही वो हुई है. That's the nature of that company. You know कि आपकी ये problem paper boards में है, ये FMCG में है, ये hospitality में है, उसको जाके solve करो. भगवान ने तुम्हें सब कुछ दिया है, दिमाग, दिल, हाथ, कान सब कुछ दिए हैं, जाके उसको solve करो, right? So I'll tell you, what you are doing is the right thing, but the problem is you don't know how to market yourself, because when you try to make money through specialization, you will make a lot of money, but there is a ceiling to it.
Okay.
There is a ceiling to it. When you when you learn how to crack making money through generalization, then there is no ceiling to it. You have to become a specialist at being a generalist. And that is what you're doing. But the problem is, people who are great generalists, they don't know how to market themselves because they have a certain amount of depth in multiple areas. And they don't know how to put it across as compelling. सर मैंने यहाँ पे भी थोड़ा बहुत कुछ किया है, मैंने यहाँ पे भी थोड़ा बहुत कुछ किया है, मैंने यहाँ पे भी ये प्रोजेक्ट किया था, मैंने यहाँ पे भी ये किया था. All of that is scattered all over the place. So it looks like to a recruiter or a company, ये आदमी तो हर डायरेक्शन में ही तेज भाग रहा है, पर कहीं पे पहुंच ही नहीं पाया. That's the impression that they develop, even though they have successful careers. या वहां तक नहीं पहुंच पाया अगर ये अपनी दिशा डिसाइड कर लेता कि मेरे को इसी दिशा में भागना है. So that is where, when to people like yourself who've got the loyalty, the commitment, the stability of a decade plus at a blue chip company like ITC, when we add a value proposition to you, then it shifts your value from just being based on that great generalist to creating a very compelling proposition for an organization saying that this is the person that we want to hire, and where instead of you chasing the company is chasing you. Think of it like this. You go to a doctor, आपको कोई थोड़ी बीमारी है, and you go to a doctor, और किसी से इलाज नहीं हो रहा इस बीमारी का, right? And you go to a particular doctor, but when you get to the doctor's clinic, the doctor is sitting in a wheelchair. So a lot of people will say, ये क्या डॉक्टर ही करेगा, ये तो खुद व्हीलचेयर में, right? How will he cure my body? He's not been able to look after his own, right? But the doctor has a proven ability to cure your problem. आपका जो भी रोग है, something as serious as cancer or something as mild as a cold and cough, they can cure it. If they can cure you and that ability is proven, will you have a problem dealing with the doctor?
Should not be.
No, you'll have no reservation dealing with him because they can cure your problem. So we have imperfections in our careers. But that's human. When you create a value proposition, then it becomes much easier for the company to accept your humanity and deal with those imperfections. I'll tell you, I was fired from a job, and when I went to apply when I used this model the first time, I was able to tell the company in every single interview that I was let go, I was fired. And yet I was hired for a 3x to 5x of my salary. It made no difference. It didn't become a negotiation or a bargaining chip for them to try to reduce me on salary. And I see this with my students every day. So I hope I was able to give you some insight towards your question.
Yes, definitely. I look forward to taking
if you want to take that journey further, Sameer, what I would recommend is that we can offer with your okay, we can provide our masterclass for the attending audience.
Sure, sir.
It's otherwise a paid session, but I'm very happy to put the free link in here so that people who want to learn and understand this model a little more deeply, they can absolutely come and attend, and then next steps are provided in that class. So if somebody wants to take their journey further, happy to do that.
That'll be very kind of you, sir. Thank you so much. Really appreciate from an IFT perspective, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Manish, we'll take one more, and then Sameer, would that be okay? I'll take one more
sir.
question.
You spending 2 hours with us has been phenomenal, right? Given your schedule, and thank you so much. So I was wondering, 2 घंटे हो गए और पता ही नहीं चला. It's been, people have been queuing up to ask questions and interact, as I said, because people have their dimensions, and you've been kind enough to answer all of them, sir.
Sameer, all of this is a testament to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It's been such a wonderful association. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Sir, questions. I think people are still there with questions.
Yes.
Unke questions answer ho jayenge. I'd really appreciate
We will
that,
take up, I think, another couple of questions. Shouldn't be a problem. I am going to invite Mr. Mohit Jaju onto the video. So that
Yeah.
Hi, Mohit. Yes.
Yes. Hi. Hello, sir. Thank you for this session. It was really great. I mean, really different from anything that we have attended till now. So thank you for that. My question is, these days we all are seeking a lot of hikes in our jobs, and you have mentioned a lot of examples as such, but they definitely come with a cost. I mean, in terms of cost, I talk about terms of the work hours that we have to put in, or the kind of culture that company has, or the kind of uh, dedication that we have to give in. But we also seek a lot of work-life balance, good mental health as such. So, I mean, how to navigate both of these? Because you told that example about the different stages of life. We cannot have all three of them. Just, I mean, so in that terms, I mean, how do we navigate it? What kind of work do we seek in that terms? Just wanted a general answer to that.
Okay, I think this is an excellent question, Mohit, and I'll give you my thoughts on it. See, please understand, Abhi, a couple things have happened in the larger picture where the internet is kind of divided on these two sides. One is a few months ago, I think Narayan Murthy made a video, was in a podcast, and he said I would request people to work 70 hours a week, right?
Yeah,
And that created a furor on the internet. कि
yeah,
ये दादाजी को समझ आता नहीं है, आज की दुनिया फर्क है, हाँ? So that's one side of the equation. Now, most recently, we've seen that this young lady at
hmm,
EY, she passed away, and it seems work pressure was being blamed.
yeah,
Mental health is important, of course. There is no denying that mental health is extremely important, and something that is costing you your health, your mental health, chronically is not advisable. But at the same time, please understand what I was talking about earlier. Your growth will only happen on the boundary of support and challenge. If you don't push yourself to failure, you can't expect to grow. So it is very important to come to understand your own limits and how much you should push yourself.
right.
So that is very critical. Now, let's reframe this conversation a little bit. Life has never been easier to live, but we have never made it more complicated and harder to live. You go back 80, 100 years, having even a hot shower was a luxury. It was not available. That simple moment when you step into your hot shower and feel the relief of washing off all of the dirt off of your body, clean soap, that was not available. You go back one generation, the problems that your parents were dealing with were much more complicated. And you go back two generations, the problems that your grandparents were dealing with were literally life and death problems. I look back at my grandparents, they came during partition. Our hardest day is much easier than their most easy day. Our toughest day is much easier than their most difficult day, than their easiest day. So life has never been easier to live, but we've never made it more complicated. We make it so complicated. And in the early years of your life, it is very important that you give life everything that beats the requirement of the next stage. Your body will never be younger and fitter. Your mind will never be more agile than it is today. You're working towards your peak. You're not declining from your peak. People like me are probably on the way down. So the point that I'm trying to make is that learn to sweat in peace so you don't have to bleed in war. शांति में जितना पसीना बहा लोगे, जंग में उतना कम लहू बहाना पड़ेगा.
Right.
So this is the time to invest in yourself. Don't get caught up with social media and the wokeism, the narrative of wokeism today. Oh yeah, mental health and this and all of that. It's important, but know your own limits.
Hmm.
Anybody who has gone on to create exceptional success, they have not only endured weeks or months, but years of working without any sign of a reward. And life is going to throw all of those things at you, especially if you're ambitious. The capacity you have to handle that is going to determine your success. Your capacity to handle failure and challenges determines your capacity for success. But
That's
the
very well
problem
said.
is when failure walks into your life, at that point, all of this knowledge is going to go out the window. That's the problem. In a classroom, the lesson comes first and the test is taken later. But in life, the test is going to come first and the lesson will be delivered afterwards. We all know what we need to do to lose weight. Diet and exercise. पर अभी सामने कोई छोले भटूरे और गुलाब जामुन रख दे. All of that knowledge goes out the एक bite. One bite. So if you don't have a vision for your life, if you don't have that clarity, कि मेरे को ये बनना है और मैं इसके पीछे जा रहा हूं और कोई कुछ कह ले, कितनी रुकावटें आ जाए, till you don't have that clarity and it's intrinsic, it comes from within you, what will happen is every small temptation will throw you off course. You will begin acting out of balance. And if you do that and that becomes chronic, then you will never have the inner peace, because the vision you have for your life and your actions will always be counterproductive. Great. Thank you for your question, Mohit. I hope that was...
Sir, just one more question I have. When we talk about creating wealth, or like, it's my belief, it's my opinion that working a job or working for somebody else does not really create wealth. And when I talk about creating wealth, in my opinion, I want to enjoy what I have created for myself. I don't really want to leave it for the next generation. If it is there, well and good. But my wealth has to serve me first. So, I mean, and I've seen it a lot of places. I mean, prices are so high of real estate and everything. I mean, even if you earn like 75, 80 lakhs a year, I mean, buying a place in Mumbai or anywhere else for that matter, it's very impossible. I mean, your life will be spent paying EMIs. So, in that terms, I mean, what's your view on that? I mean, because working a job for does not really pay the luxury that generally we want in our generation.
मोहित, मेरे को काफी सर्टन है आप कुछ बड़ा करोगे, क्योंकि the quality of the questions that you have asked is profound. Now, I'll tell you, this is again a wonderful question that you have asked. See, you have to get to know yourself. Entrepreneurship can make you far more money than a job can make you, and that's how the majority of the world sees it that way, right? But I want you to understand something. I built my career on this term called employerpreneur. It is somebody who can think like an entrepreneur but is in a salaried job. And the reason for me developing the early part of my career as an employerpreneur was because, one, I did not want to take the risk and the hassle of owning a business. I don't think I was ready. And I knew enough of myself to know that I cannot walk into it just because of a sense of excitement. If 99% people are failing when they go into their first entrepreneurial venture, there must be some reason. And I'm not smarter than those people. So I don't think I'm ready. And I think I was touching on this earlier as well, where I said a salary is a drug that an employer pays you for you to
Yeah.
forget your dreams. It's not. It's actually you are being paid to become the masterpiece that you're capable of being. So I said, okay, my reality is what? My reality is I know I'm not ready. I need to work more on myself to become ready, to become an entrepreneur finally. And very frankly, I have great ideas, but I don't have the money to invest in these ideas. So I said, how can I make the income of a business owner without owning a business? So that I'm also not stuck in paying EMIs for the rest of my life. Now, this is a very rare breed of people. And the reason it's such a rare breed of people is because, see, people in this room who are parents, who have children of their own, they know that अपने बच्चों से प्यार करना बहुत आसान होता है, right? It's very easy to love your own children. It's very easy in general to love children, but you cannot love someone else's child exactly the same way as you love your own child. बच्चे तो भगवान का रूप है, मतलब किसी भी बच्चे से प्रेम और ये लगाव दिखाना, it's not difficult, but the way you love your own children is very different versus how you will love even nieces and nephews or kids of your friends. An employerpreneur is able to love someone else's child exactly like it was their own child. They love someone else's company, someone else's vision, someone else's idea exactly like they would love like it was their own. And that is where the floodgates open up and you start making money like a business owner without owning a business. You become more powerful than even the business owner. Now, for that, you have to join the right company. Most likely, this will not be a large company or an MNC. This will be a promoter-led mid-size or small business where the opportunity to scale up is phenomenal. I went from working in larger organizations to working in smaller organizations, and my paycheck went the other way. There is credence to being a bigger fish in a smaller pond. That is where you can really, make a difference. Sorry, there might be some disturbance in the background. I think the Air Force is having some
Okay.
exercises around here where the sonic barrier is being breached.
No worries. We can hear you, sir. We can hear you well.
Great.
Yeah.
So I hope that gave you some more
Yes,
insight in how to think about it.
it does. It was great, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're going to go to the last question. This will be a repeat. Aditya Banerjee, who asked the question earlier, wanted to ask one more. So Aditya, if you could just put on your mic.
Sir, good morning. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to ask a question. Sir, I'm Aditya from the 2020-22 batch, but I have approximately 12 years of experience. So 3 years of IT and 9 years of banking experience. Uh, Sir, I have an aspiration to work overseas. So though you have touched, you have to build a campaign, you have touched upon this subject many times. So just I wanted to ask because many of us in our batch also, or many of us, my friends also, we aspire to work overseas. But whenever we try to apply in LinkedIn or any other job board, they say, okay, ideally you should be staying in that country to apply. So I suppose I'm trying to apply to Singapore. They say you should be ideally resident there. So how do I overcome this challenge, sir? And if you could just kindly tell me, sir, just how to apply and go about this process would be of great help. Thank you.
Happy to do it.
Thank you, sir.
I'll tell you, Aditya, about 20% of every batch that I work with goes overseas. And a lot of people have that aspiration, for some part of their career, they want to spend time overseas and get that diversified experience, and or they want to immigrate there permanently to be able to secure a better, what they feel is a better life for their children and for, the future of their family. You have to be more attractive than locally available talent. And for you to do that, you need to build a compelling value proposition. That's the only way to overcome that hurdle. And that is exactly what the SPT model does. It helps you build a value proposition so strong where you are far more attractive than talent that is locally available. But do keep this in mind. It's hard to move from India, but the SPT model makes it much simpler. It makes it much simpler because you are looking into all of the most important challenges and opportunities for that business, for that company, and telling them, I can solve this. Here's the proof of what I've done, right? So that is how you enable that. Please understand, the world is becoming more open from an immigrational perspective. It is easier than ever to be able to move abroad because it is truly a fight for the best talent. So if you look at immigration programs around the world, whether it is Thailand or Portugal or the Schengen nations or Canada or Australia with the new mates visa, Japan with the population crisis that they are experiencing, all of these countries are making it much easier for the right groups of talented individuals, whether they come as investors, whether they come as real estate people, whether they come as working employees, to come into their countries. But for each country, there is specific requirements. So I had this student, he was working at LinkedIn. His package was 22 lakhs. His name is Rajesh Vishwanathan. He was working at LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is the god for jobs. Okay. And he was not happy with his job. And he said, I want to work in AI. I want to join. So he joined this company, used the system, joined a company called Observe AI. It's a very niche player in voice training. And the package jumped from 22 lakhs to 43 lakhs plus incentives and bonuses, coming to about 50 lakhs. And he was with them for a couple of years, and then he said, Sir, ab international jana hai. So I said, Chalo, let's do it. His package is, he's now living in Dusseldorf in northern Germany. Package is 1 CR. Use the model a second time because Germany of late is experiencing a lot of shortage of people in the workforce. Senior level IT talent and all that. That's a huge requirement there. Similarly, I have students who moved to Luxembourg. There's a gentleman here working for Sutherland, which is a very large, BPO company. And he says, I've been with them for 10 years, but I'm stagnant. I can do so much more, but the hierarchy and the politics of the system is not letting me break through. So I said, okay, let's work on a campaign. Worked on a campaign. He's now their country head in Colombia. He's lived in Colombia for the last 3 years. He's in Bogota. And he says, sir, now I've understood. मेरे को थोड़ा time लगा इसको model को master करने में. My next move is country manager Japan. So it's a journey, and once you begin to understand the fundamentals and implement that journey, I mean, it can open up doors that otherwise one would not even consider possible. And again, it would work the same way. You build your list of suspects, do the research, understand their deepest needs, make the evaluation. Can you solve them? If you can, they move from being a suspect to a prospect. Then start looking into their culture. Is it right for you? Because the worst thing is you have a great value proposition for a company, and you know you can solve their problems, but the culture is not right for you. It can become a recipe for frustration, right? Because the culture, your personality is not able to make that kind of change to be able to fit into their environment. The behavioral expectations, the norms, the assumptions, the processes, all of that are not who you are. You are that beautiful bird in a hammer and nail environment, or vice versa. So that's what has to be kept in mind.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
If the room has any other questions, they can of course send me an email. My email is Manish. You can give it out. So if anybody wants to send us a question as follow-up,
just put out the email for everyone, so they also have that.
And I'll have that floated in our various groups as well, sir. I'll coordinate with Manish and have a comprehensive message made and have it sent out through our communication channels, both on WhatsApp and social media, to the entire IFT group, sir, whoever wants to. And of course, a recording of this session will also go out, sir, across all. I'll speak with Manish so that there are a number of people who would have missed this session today out. there were some preliminary issues as well in terms of joining and all. So we'll have to have the recording sent out across to everybody, sir, with the connect. I'll coordinate Manish on that.
Super, super. My apologies if there are more questions and I've not been able to take it up. I have another pressing appointment after
Sir,
this.
2 घंटे हो गए. Getting to ask from you is a big thing. Sir, so thank you so much. I couldn't be more grateful on behalf of all the IFTNs, sir.
Thank you so much, Samir. It's been a pleasure always, and appreciate the opportunity and please stay in touch. आपसे मेरे को बड़ी
Yes,
बड़ी खबरें सुननी है और and
absolutely.
lovely. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure to have been here with all of you this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you.